Oh yes, hello everybody and welcome to The Brink. Well, I should say welcome back to The Brink because it has been quite some time since I've been able to utter those words in what you are now listening to as the very first podcast-only episode of the former number 4 breakfast radio show in all of Hobart. My name is Ben Waterworth. If you are not familiar with my voice, probably a good thing because you either just have been living a normal life and don't like Survivor, James Bond, Formula 1, the Olympics, Eurovision, or live in Hobart and listen to a station that nobody else listens to. But it is so exciting to be able to bring back the brand of a radio show that lasted for a good 10-11 years in the radio sphere of Hobart, bringing you a podcast only, and very excited to be back on the airwaves for the first time since January 2015, and a lot of things have happened since, but a lot of things have happened for the good as well, and it is going to be a pleasure to be able to bring you so much content with the show now moving forward. We can certainly get away with a little bit more than we could back when we were actually on radio, and we can say words such as shit and fuck, which we could never say on air before, and if you weren't expecting us to swear already, then perhaps you don't really know anything about any episodes that I have formerly produced. But if you are for some reason tuning in for the very first time to The Brink, you have no idea what we talk about, and you've looked at this logo and thought, well, that's quite a fancy looking logo, Hobart's Voice for Inclusion. Well, why would I listen to a radio show or a podcast based in a little city in Australia that nobody really gives two shits about? Well, you're going to be pleasantly surprised because we don't generally always talk about Hobart. We talk about a lot of things. You're going to hear a lot of things already in this very first podcast episode, I should say. And we cover everything from sport to news to attempting to be funny and everything else in between. And on this very first episode, you're going to get a taste of everything. We're going to bring you a wide variety of things. We're going to go back in time. We're going to bring you a average of one flashback per episode to let you know what we did used to be like when we were on the airwaves in Hobart. But we're also going to bring you new segments. We're going to bring you guests. We've got a special guest already lined up who you're about to hear from very, very shortly. And everything else in between. It's fun, it's exciting, and as we like to say here on The Brink, it's Brinkalicious. Now, that is a word that you will hear a lot whenever you listen to this podcast. Again, if you're coming to this, you have no idea what you're in for, learn the word Brinkalicious, because you will want to use that in your everyday life. If perhaps you're listening from another country that isn't Australia and you're thinking, wow, his accent is amazing, I really want to go out with him, then think about the word Brinkalicious, because that is what you would use in any day life. Use that in more than conversation once, you will easily get laid. Very simple, it works. Well, maybe not for me, but for other people, it does. But so exciting, and as already you know, this show is going to be completely crazy and completely weird. If you're tuning in and you used to listen to The Brink, then hi mum, how are you? And to other people who did used to listen, it's good to have you back. But as I mentioned, things will be slightly different because I am just about to leave Hobart. So here I am talking about Hobart's Voice for Inclusion. And for some reason, I am taking this on the road to not even record from Hobart, which probably doesn't make too much sense. But maybe I'm going to make it Hobart's international Voice for Inclusion, because I can not only take the Brink on the road, take the city on the road as well to really entertain people and educate people about this tiny little hamlet of a city on the Derwent River in a state called Tasmania, which, yes, there are Tasmanian devils, and spread it throughout the world. So at the time of recording this very Friday, I'm getting on a plane, I'm venturing to the big smoke of Melbourne, and from there it is on to varying other places, not only in Australia, but around the world, and you're going to hear all about it. So I'm going to be bringing you guests galore, updates from varying events and other things along the way, to which you are definitely going to learn a lot about. So just a bit of a teaser I thought I would give you, and you will learn a lot about that, no doubt, bit in this episode and throughout the upcoming episodes as well. Just as a bit of as a taste as to what you're experiencing, whether you're an old listener, a new listener, or somewhere in between. Maybe you just saw this and go, oh, I remember that show. I used to listen to that on the way to work. It was really shit, but maybe they're better now. And you're probably already discovering that really not much has changed since 2015. My voice sounds the same. It's still annoying as hell, and really, he doesn't know what he's talking about. That's probably sums up the Brink in a sentence, if I have to be completely honest. But you'll learn that as you go along, and there's plenty to come in this episode, so stay tuned for that. I do want to give right now a special shout out though, because this is something we could never do when we were on the air in Hobart. We weren't allowed to really tag sponsors. We weren't allowed to mention names and sort of, get into trouble, basically. It was kind of like, no, don't mention that. People will think it's cash per comment. This is a podcast. We're doing this on our own with no payment, nothing at all. We can say and basically do what we want. And one thing that I want to do is attract sponsors. So I'm going to kind of do the opposite. You'll hear me drop names of companies and places that perhaps I would like to be sponsored by along the way. And any of those who happen to be listening, if you wish to contact me, please do, and I will happily accept any payment anywhere up to $5 billion, and that will easily help us along the way. So I was actually going to tag our podcast server in whooshka.com, not just randomly drop like McDonald's, because they have great burgers, although obviously McDonald's are probably going to listen and give us some money for the next episode. But in all seriousness, quick plug to Whooshka, because when it comes to podcasting, you've got to find a server. You've got to find somewhere to upload it. We've done that via Whooshka. So within the opening few minutes of this episode, I've waffled on about jack all, I've tagged someone, and I've also mentioned McDonald's. That is how we're going to roll on the Brink 2.0, the reboot of the fourth favourite show in the history of Hobart Radio. We're up and firing. We're excited. Let's move the show on. It is a great honour to be able to bring you this very first episode, the return, I should say, of The Brink. It's been some time, as you've already heard throughout this episode, but it wouldn't be an episode of The Brink if we didn't somehow bring back somebody who was involved with the show that wasn't just me. And one man that was involved in the show from the very foundation, the very day that we were born, way back in 2004, was the man who, at that time, didn't know the song that was playing, looked to me and said, "Ben, what is the song that was playing?" To which I'm on the other side of the desk, unable to see the computer, gone, "No idea, Josh," and to which he's panicked and gone, "Let's go back to the music." After weeks and weeks of training, hours of meticulous planning that day, getting ourselves into the zone, and within 30 seconds, our radio careers could have been over. And for some reason, about 12 years later, here he is on this episode of the return of the greatest radio show that nobody ever listened to, Josh Shoobridge. Welcome to The Brink again.
I'll tell you what, that's one story that I don't think I'll ever live down. And to reiterate, I'm not the only one that's had that particular incident. I think that happened to you as well a few weeks later.
Never, no.
But that did happen, and it probably would happen again if I didn't know what the hell. I'll tell you what, the computer system they used back in 2004 was antiquated for that point.
Well, let's be honest, Josh. I was in that studio only a few weeks ago. I don't think they've really updated much since 2004. We can sort of say that now.
We're not affiliated with them anymore, and we can bag them out as much as we want, because this is going to probably reach a bigger audience than 10. So,
no, we're very grateful for Edge Radio for our long-standing careers on that station. But
yes,
it's exciting to have you here on this debut. I don't know what we're calling this, whether this is the first episode or so. I mean, it's just kind of like,
it's the reboot. It's what happens when Sam Mendes takes over.
Well, exactly. Yes, exactly. We're just going to be in the Day of the Dead festival, and Blofeld's going to return.
Yes.
Soon.
Who's our Blofeld? Is it Sergeant Porcupine?
Well, yes, exactly. Speaking of James Bond, download 007 via the... sorry, I just had to put in a shameless plug. But yeah, I don't know what we're going to call it, but it's exciting to have you back on the show. I mean, it only seemed like 18 months ago I was talking to you saying this is the end, because that's basically how long, 20 months ago. Did you ever think that, we would be doing this again? I mean, really, our points of our lives where all of a sudden we've got nothing else to do except bring this cruddy little show back?
Within the next 12 months, both of us will be 30.
No, take that back.
And
What happened to the days when we never used to disclose our ages on air, and all of a sudden you're dropping these secrets, Josh? Don't do that.
I googled my name the other day, and I still found the bio saying that I used to host Who Wants to Be a Millionaire in the Caribbean or something like that.
Well, you did.
So that was at Barbados. I think that's where you put me at.
Just like I was a former Olympian in synchronized swimming. You had to do. Just let's be honest. You had to do big things to get people to listen to Edge Radio. If they thought there was a former synchronized swimming champion as a host, people still didn't listen. So
that's exactly right. But what I can't even remember what I was going to say now. But saying all of that aside, I think the timing of the events for tonight being quite interesting. I think I'll let you know I was coming down last week.
You did? Well, I think you tried to call me a couple of times. We should really establish that, yes, Josh obviously moved away. Long-term listeners to The Brink. I mean, if you're just discovering this podcast, I'm like, oh, what's this? The Brink on iTunes. This is exciting. Wonder what this is. Back in the day, Josh obviously was in the studio with me, went and did a whole life-changing situation.
I converted to a religion that starts with M.
Yes, he is a Muslim, and he's wearing a hijab right now. It's quite off-putting. Pauline Hanson is nowhere near this studio right now. Former guest of the show. She doesn't want anything to do with this. Yes, did the whole falling in love, having kids. Just the usual thing that people do in life.
Usual rubbish.
I don't know what that's about anymore. That's why I brought this back. I've done the opposite. I've fallen out of love and hitting the road and running away from things. But he left.
Yes. and I'm visiting.
He's visiting.
Hobart again.
Just as I'm about to leave. And
it's like, they're not, all right, mate, I'm going to... this is what happened. 3 hours ago, I text messaged him saying, I'm in the area, you want to catch up tonight? And he's like, yeah, okay. We could record the first ever reboot of The Brink. I'm like, hell yeah.
That's called the universe. That's timing. I will actually be honest, though. You did message me and say, what are you doing? And I said, watching the Brownlow.
And I said, want some company.
So
I escaped a tornado of terror.
To completely date this podcast, which, again, we don't really give two hoots about what we do when it comes to this sort of stuff, we are literally watching Patrick Dangerfield win his Brownlow medal right now.
That's it. And the Wags. I think that's what I'm watching.
Yes. Well, apparently you are. So, but you've come obviously back for a couple of weeks in the, what did you just say? The terrifying tornado, or
the demonic plague that attaches itself to my marriage.
You just got to hope that your lovely wife is not going to listen to this episode, or
nope.
Of course no. All right, well then we can say what we want to. I'm going to say hello to her, but clearly not. We won't.
She just doesn't care.
I will congratulate you though, Josh. You did become a father again.
Yes,
not that long
for
ago.
reals.
Yes, so you now have two spawns.
Yes, two amazing kids.
Yes.
Like seriously, they're amazing. When Star Wars Celebration comes to Australia, Alex is going as Yoda.
Right.
I'm going as Luke Skywalker. He's going to be on my back.
Okay.
Because that kid absolutely loves Star Wars. The only way to settle him down if he's having a tantrum, come watch some Star Wars.
And I'll back that up because I did recently visit you in the beautiful Merimbula, in the Bega Valley on the New South Wales coast. Beautiful place.
That's it.
We can obviously talk up places a lot more. We can mention sponsorship names because we've got to suck up and get sponsors. That's going to be a big thing with the Brink now. So
that's exactly right.
Josh, you're drinking a can of Mother Energy drink. What a great drink Mother is. It's amazing. It's so good. Drink Mother.
And that beautiful glass of empty that you've got.
It was a juice. Anyway, but so yes, you at the time had to go to an appointment with your wife, and you made me look after your son, Alex.
Yes.
I know nothing about kids, all right? I have a nephew. I see him once a week. That's enough children for me. So anyway, so I'm like, oh, shit, what am I going to do? I can swear now too, by the way, if you haven't realised that. Shit.
Go hard.
And then I'm like, you're just like, oh, show him YouTube, show him Star Wars videos. So I've literally sat there, pulled out the phone, typed in Star Wars, and he's just sat glued to my phone watching Star Wars. You've trained your children well.
We did the Tahune Air walk today, and he was walking. I had the backpack that we were going to put him in, but he's so freaking heavy. So he was just walking around, and he was getting a bit bored, so I gave him a stick. And the first thing he goes is...
Stop. He got bored. You gave him a stick.
Yes.
That's parenting 101 right there.
Damn
your kid being a little shit, give him a stick.
No, well, I gave him a stick, and he's like, Daddy, me lightsaber. Pew, pew. He then goes and finds another stick and goes, Daddy, your lightsaber. We fight now. So for a good kilometre of this walk, I had him chase me saying, "Me get you, daddy." Pew, pew, with his stick.
I think you've just solved parenting because, like, it's getting to that time of year where parents are like, oh, what do I buy my kids? It's Christmas time.
Get
a stick. Put it in some paper. Here you go, little Johnny. Have a stick.
You know what? Back in the 70s, some dude decided to put a rock in a perforated box and he made heaps of money.
That's
I'm going to do the same with sticks.
That's true.
I'm gonna set up a stall in wherever I'm at the time and say for Christmas, give your kid a stick.
It's the little jingle. Get your kid a stick this Christmas with Sticky the Stick. Yep. See, we haven't changed at all. We just come on here and start talking about one thing and we get to another. This is called the random segment where we start from one point to the other.
You know, it's been over 2 years since we actually recorded live together.
That's kind of sad.
And we're still exactly the same.
This is why nobody listened to us. This is why nobody is listening to us except for Mum. Hi, Mum. But other than that, although I will say we've put the announcement out today. The Brink is coming back. You know, we got some feedback. We got, hey, great, the Brink's coming back, and you know, other than that, it was quiet as it used to be when people didn't used to listen to us. So
yeah. At least we're not in a fish tank.
Well, that's true.
We're people who we wouldn't want to associate with outside of our celebrity lifestyle.
It was quite funny though, the days where like because like for those who have no idea what we're talking about, Ed's studio was at the University of Tasmania, so it was quite near some classrooms, and you know, you'd often get towards the end of your show people coming out and just, well, not coming out, I mean, I'm sure they could have, like, I mean, hey everyone,
we've got nothing against that here.
No, not at all. Please come out as much as you want at uni. That's what you do. But they would sit around the studio because they were waiting to go into their class, and they would literally walk up to the window and kind of think it was like double-sided glass or something, and they would just stare at you as if to say like, what are they doing? Who's in there? Whatsoever. And you just sort of wave and like, hello, and they're like, oh, hello. Like,
yeah. Well, the thing I didn't like about it was the people who I knew, who I don't particularly enjoy their company, would be standing in front of the mirror, smiling like Goofy from Disney, going, hi Josh. I like cheese.
Is that a direct impersonation of anyone in particular?
I'm not going to name names because I don't want to be attacked on social media regarding certain people's.
Well, okay then, fair enough. Just give them stick.
But yes, yes, I am referencing a few people.
Okay. One thing I actually, on an absolute serious note, like 100% serious, we can be serious on this show. You and I broke the death of Michael Jackson. We broke the news of the death. We didn't break Michael Jackson, like we didn't kill him, but like we were on air when that happened.
I say that to this day, it had nothing to do with his death.
I
did not want ratings that day.
I had people come up to me still, well, one person, and said, you will always be the person that told me Michael Jackson died. I'm like, okay, thank you.
Yeah, I had that happen too. That one person must have found us both.
Exactly. But on a completely serious note, since we've obviously gone off the air and come back on the air again, very, very good friend of ours from the Brink, Hobart / Tasmanian media legend, Tim Franklin, obviously sadly passed away. And I actually, because I at the time was at my other job, and I actually had to report on his death, which was hard. I had to cover his funeral and all this sort of stuff. I told you that, but it's still shocking. I mean, it's been nearly 12 months, I think, since he died. And I should really mention again to people listening to this who have no idea who Tim Franklin is. I mean, he was just an icon of the media. Yes, Tasmania does have media icons besides myself and you.
That's true, yeah.
And I mean, he'd been around for decades. He hosted countdown shows on TV and on the radio. He won Logies. He'd like interviewed, you know, like I'd been to his house and all the memorabilia he had in his house. He interviewed Michael Jackson. He'd interviewed, you know, Bon Jovi, Elton John, you know, was friends with all these sort of people. And he was just an icon of Tasmania. And sadly, towards the end of last year, he passed away. So from us, we weren't on air, obviously, to be able to talk about that. But, I mean, memories of Tim. I mean, we had a very long history with Tim from the days of bagging him out to being very good friends with him.
I remember the day I actually remember the phone call quite vividly. When we were organising, I think it was the 100th? 200th show?
200th show.
And you were like, okay, we want to get Tim Franklin on. You make the call.
Yes.
I don't want to do it.
Because just to clarify, there was a reason behind this, because we spent a good 6 months ripping shit into this guy, because, like, it was kind of... It all stemmed from, basically, I had a friend who was in JB Hi-Fi and was behind Tim Franklin in line. Now, apparently, according to her, he requested a discount because he was Tim Franklin. So you took that idea, I remember telling you that. We turned it into the No Tim segment. You use that story.
Which is still funny.
We're going to hear some of that soon, I feel. We're going to have to...
I think we have to do a recast.
We will play a bit of that for you very, very shortly for you to understand what we're talking about. And it was a running joke. It turned into, basically, we would come up with an elaborate story each week of what Tim Franklin was doing, from driving around in pink cars to chatting up young girls at McDonald's.
No, Tim.
So from that point on, we're like, how great would this be if on our 200th episode, and we got the Premier of Tasmania on the show that day, but we were more nervous and excited for the fact that we got Tim fucking Franklin.
That's because we had been insulting him behind his back.
And we honestly would thought, like, how funny would it be if we get him on the show and it's just like, ladies and gentlemen, Tim Franklin, no Tim, and, like, kicked him off. But anyway, sorry, back to your phone call.
I'm on the phone call. I'm like, hi, can I speak to Mr. Tim Franklin? And the lady on the line goes, oh, yeah, I'll get him for you. It's okay. And he gets on and he's like, hi, this is Tim Franklin here.
Great impersonation. Sounds exactly like him.
I know. Sounds more like Peter Warhead.
Peter, how you doing?
and I'm Josh. I'm a co-host of the Brink on Edge Radio. Can you come on? We've got our 200th show, and he's like, You're not shitting me, are you? You're not gonna, like, take the piss on me, are you?
Oh no, Tim. No, Tim.
No, Mr. Franklin. No, that was Mr. Franklin then.
So yes, Mr. Franklin.
But yeah, I think from that point on, like, once he came on the show and we developed a professional relationship with him.
Oh, it was amazing. It was, and like, because
I've been to his house too. Been to his home office was a museum unto itself.
It was incredible. And, we developed such a close friendship with him, because when we had him on and he rocked up and, like, he really didn't say much to us when he arrived. Like, we were going, oh, God, this is like, because, I mean, as anyone who used to listen to us, we always put on a big extravaganza for our every, 100 shows. Like, we'd make an event out of it. And, at that point, that was the first ever time we'd ever had the Premier of Tasmania on the show. I mean, obviously, that became a recurrent theme.
Yeah, well, the whole back there, we had...
Oh, we'd had Bartlett. That was when David...
Before he got the top...
So, yeah, the Premier... We again, this is like kind of like a reversion of the Brink. People who are listening to this have no idea what the hell happened. So we would always lay claim to basically starting the careers of people, because that's what we do. We're awesome. Except for ours. Yeah, but clearly that's why we're back doing a podcast. It's nothing against podcasts. Podcasts are great. But so David Bartlett was the Education Minister, became the Premier. Anyway, so we were like the first time a sitting Premier as Premier had been on the show. But we, again, turned out to be more daunted and scared by Tim Franklin, who really didn't say anything to us until he got on air. And then he warmed up to us, and then, every time you got him on the show, you'd have to record the show, bring it over to his house on a disc, and...
Oh, yeah.
And then, but again, you would just get random phone calls. I mean, the biggest thing, I think, Tim Franklin, obviously, for us, in terms of... guests and everything along those lines, obviously household name really in country music circles now, the Wolf Brothers, who obviously went on to great success from Australia's Got Talent, and have won multiple awards, and probably you would say Tasmania's biggest musical export in the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, definitely.
He contacted me several years before they even hit the big time, and basically said, Ben, my godson, he's part of this country band, they're going to be big, they're going to be huge, get them on the show now before they hit the big time, and you'll enjoy it. And we did. I mean, the Wolf Brothers, they went on to be one of our most frequent guests before they got big, and then they got big, and then, Tom Wolfe even came on and guest hosted an episode of The Brink at one point. Yeah. So, I mean, Tim was just, in all seriousness, jokes aside, just a unique individual. I mean, he was very professional on air. He was a very professional presenter. You got him talking off air. You think I swear? That guy could make a sailor blush. And was very honest, very forthcoming. but very good at what he did. I mean,
Yes.
outside of his broadcast career, he's obviously now established Radar Promotions, a great advertising firm in this state, which, offer, very low-cut pricing. And no, I'm not just saying this to try and get Radar Promotions on as a sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
They do great things. I know from family experience what they can offer. And he's established that as a very well-known established brand in this state. And even when he passed away last year, he did actually even make news on the mainland.
He was a Logie winner. He was an entertainer. He was a philanthropist. I can't even say that word anymore. But the thing with Tim is the fact for me, I don't know. Like for me, he was like a mentor as well.
Absolutely, and he said some very kind things about us, extremely kind things about us, and often talked us up very highly. And to all jokes aside about the fact that no one listened to us, to have someone of that caliber in the Tasmanian radio industry speak that highly of us, I was always very honoured to have him say such things about us like that.
Yes, no, definitely, and I totally agree with you on that. It was really sad when he passed away, and it's in the past few years since I have been here in Tassie, I've lost a few friends, and that's one of the things I'm going to be doing here is visiting the resting places of those individuals and giving my respects, as unfortunately I was not able to make their funerals, but there is a serious part to the Brink. We started here, the memories that we have from it, friends that we've made and continue to have because of the Brink and all the other extracurricular podcasts and radio shows that we do. Everything stems back from Tim Medwin and
another Tim Medzi.
Yeah, that's it. Back in the sports journalism class at Elizabeth College,
2004.
That's
yes.
it, damn straight. And it's just been a journey up
It has.
until now.
It has.
So, but the journey hasn't it didn't stop. It's just been we've had a
on
rest.
hold.
We've had a rest.
We had a rest.
We had to sit down.
Yeah, we said, come on, boys. Just go take a long, hard look at yourself and just have a rest. But yeah, I wanted to take an opportunity, at least in this first episode, back to pay tribute to Tim, and we'll play in just a few moments a bit of No Tim and a bit of actual memories from the man himself before we move into the next part. But I felt that was a thing that we needed to do, given that I'm sure that had we been on air when it happened, we would have probably dedicated the entire week to Tim Franklin, because clearly I think he deserved it. So,
yes.
Tim, wherever you are right now in this grand big universe or whatever,
I know where he is.
we you and I might differ on our opinions of where he is, but
Well, you telling me? No,
we're thinking of you, mate, and we obviously appreciate everything. So. Yes.
I think we can probably go a little bit far to dedicate the show to him.
Absolutely. This first episode clearly will be dedicated to him, but we'll hear that in just a moment. Josh, thank you for being on this very first rebooted episode. We've done what we've always done and talked about one thing and ended up talking about another, and here we are doing it. I'm clapping my hands apparently because I'm excited for it. But
Hercules.
Appreciate it. And yes, I'm sure whether or not I'm on the road or not, we can surely find time for us to still talk and you be on this show in the future.
That is a definite thing. I actually said, when I saw this post come up today,
he didn't even know. I blindsided the co-founder of this show.
I just went, I'm in. That's it. I'm in. You're not going to ask me if I want to be on or not.
I looked at that. I thought the comment. I'm like, hang on a minute. The Brink commented on their own post. I'm like, all right, because you're an admin. You comment on it.
And I wasn't even on the admin page. I was actually on my normal Facebook
Right.
page.
Okay.
I don't know why I did it as that, but I had that when I was running for council in Bega. I had the same thing. I'd be commenting on things that'd be commenting as me, and then the next minute be commenting as the politician me.
The politician you.
So there was Josh Shoobridge me, and then there was Josh Shoobridge politician.
Sounds like I don't know what that sounds like. But yeah, so we'll get you on again. Thank you, Josh. And
thank you, Benny.
Let's now hear some classic No Tims, followed by the man himself, the late great Tim Franklin. On the Brink. Here we go. Let's listen to this.
This week I was walking down the street and I happened to see the old Radar 1 car drive past. And little behold, that you see Mr. Tim Franklin driving in the car with a pink shirt and a pink scarf on, looking like an Elton John wannabe. No, Tim.
Let's back that up a bit. The Radar 1 car.
Well, you see, like his car, his license plate number, Radar 1. That's what it is.
Okay.
It's like, what were you saying before? You saw him on the Radar promotion ad. No, Tim. Story for you, Ben.
Yes, I love a good story.
Well, I was in line at a particular fast food restaurant this week.
Fantastic.
And it's quite surprising because I have been on a health kick. I was buying a bottle of water. And in front of me, guess who it was?
Tim Franklin.
That's right.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, what did you go? Would he walk up to the counter and he ordered like, a large cheeseburger meal and you were just like, no, Tim.
No, it's more like he goes up and he leans on the desk, on the counter, and the attractive cashier, who's like 15, Tim, goes...
You just call this 15-year-old attractive.
No, you know what I mean. Just shush. This is a story.
Oh, something's going on there.
It's a story, Ben. It's a story. Okay, this 15-year-old girl who's like, can I take your order, sir? And he's leaned up and he's like, hey, darling.
Where are you going with this? Where are you going with this? That's enough for me.
It's like, would you be so kind to get me 3 large meals? I can't say what they are. It'll give the joint away. And then he goes, I have a boat. And I just tapped him on the shoulder and went, no, Tim.
Josh, did this actually happen? I don't think it did.
It did in the Tim Diaries. Which will be released next year.
Tim, as I said, you're just a media legend. Everybody in this state knows who you are.
Most people would say I'm a legend in my own lunchbox.
In your own
But that's
lunchbox.
okay, Ben. You can put it any way you want. But I've got to say congratulations to The Edge, who I listen to, and my staff do too at Radar. Congratulations. It is no mean feat, having worked in radio for about 20 years, in another lifetime. It seems like that sometimes. And I appreciate very much being offered to come on air this morning. But 200 breakfast shows, mate, that is really something to be proud of for all the crew at Edge Radio. Now listen, so you've got... You can judge, that who your most popular guest is.
We've got the campaigns going.
Now, Ben, now tell me the truth.
I'm telling
Come on.
We have 5 people. We've got each separate category. We have the favourite international guest, national guest, and local guest. Now, in the local guest, you're one of 5 candidates. And I can tell you right now, as I said, the results, we will announce it straight after this interview, Tim, to say who is the most popular Tasmanian guest. But as of right now, recording this interview, you are neck and neck with Adam Cousins.
B-Bucket.
Absolutely.
And I heard, and I read in the Mercury, or Lara may have told me this, that first prize, if I come in first, it's a return trip for 2. Get ready, folks, to Launceston.
Oh.
Of which the best part is the rear vision mirror.
The key aspect of that, Tim, is the return trip. So you don't actually have to stay in Launceston, you come back.
Yeah.
So the return is the prize there, really. You can just rock up to Launceston. Oh, Launceston, blinked. Oh, there it was. And you go back to Hobart.
Yeah, it's a top spot.
Now, one of our favourite segments from our show previously that we used to do when we were on the air on Edge Radio was a segment called Fail or No Fail. Now, this segment basically involved us telling a silly story that was true and then saying whether or not it was a fail or a no fail. If you are completely unfamiliar with it, let's hear how the segment introduction for that segment used to sound.
Fail or no fail.
Yes, fail or no fail. Very high-tech, professional-sounding sound bites we did used to have back in the day on Edge Radio. But we're going to sort of rejig slightly when it comes to this segment now and bring you it in a little bit more of a different light. We're not necessarily going to say whether it's a fail or a no fail. We just thought we would bring you this segment rebooted, just like we have been, in a brand spanking new segment we like to call Wow, That Is News. And we've even got a fancy new introduction, which I believe we might hear right about now. Sounds so proper and formal. I feel like I'm actually going to be bringing you some news that is important, which, in all seriousness, you're about to hear that really it isn't important. Now, I will reiterate, All these news stories I am reading you are true. We're not making these up. We will even bring you sources if you want to be able to go and look these up yourself. So, we're going to start off with one right about now. This is brought to you by our good old friends at news.com.au. Now, long-term listeners of the show would know that we loved news.com.au, often brought us content that really wasn't even in the Weird and Wacky file just by pretending to be journalists. But anyway, this is in their Weird and Wacky basket, and this is one particularly for our international guests who maybe aren't listening to us from Australia and don't know too much in regards to actual animals and things like that. Now, obviously, a lot of people think Australia, everything here will kill you, animals galore. This one might kind of prove those stereotypes because a lady in Mona, in just South Australia, south of Adelaide, found a snake in her beloved Ugg boot, a brown snake, of course, which aren't exactly the safest ones. She saw the tail of it disappearing into her footwear and immediately called Snake Catchers Adelaide, that's such a very well-known organisation over there, obviously, to come and evict the reptile. Now, Snake Catcher Ange Broadstock told the Adelaide Advertiser, "We got a call from a woman saying she'd seen the tail of a snake going into an Ugg boot. When we got there, it was all snuggled up in the boot, so we just popped the whole thing in a bag." Now, there's photos of this via the Snake Catchers Adelaide Facebook page. Now, it was 1 metre long, 1 metre, and will now stay with Snake Catchers Adelaide until warmer weather, when it will be released back into the wild. Now, just for those at home who don't know too much about the brown snake, it was eventually identified as an eastern brown snake, often shy, very docile creatures. Just happened to be the second most venomous snake in the world. So I guess by hearing this, you might be checking your Ugg boots a little bit closely when you go to put them on. So usually, of course, back in the day, would say whether it's a fail or no fail. Right now, I'm just bringing you the news to simply say that a lady found a snake in a Ugg boot. Quite interesting. Still on news.com.au, we've got another one here. This one heading over, though, to America. We're not in Australia anymore. About a university student who submitted a drunken note to her professor instead of her assignment, complete with the sign-off, "I love you," tacked on the end. Now, McKenna Clark, a student at the University of Wisconsin-Richland, realised she had forgotten to do a criminal justice assignment one evening after a night out and knew she had to submit something. She had been given the assignment of debating whether it should be illegal to kiss on the train. Now, she started the essay by declaring, "My name is McKenna. I had some Dr. Peppers. I am doing good," before admitting, "Your assignment is way too hard. I can't do it right now." Proud of what she had done, McKenna then even said, "You're welcome," once she had finished the paragraph, and then signed the unorthodox note by saying, "Love you." Now, she posted this to Twitter. It has received over 100,000 likes, to which some replies have come out and said, "You have more sensible justice policy while hammered than many prosecutors I know. I'd hire." But sadly, Miss Clark has not revealed her teacher's reaction to her assignment or what grade she was even given to her work. This is probably more so in the basket of why on earth is this a news story, but I still thought it was kind of fun to go across there and perhaps see why this made a news story and also see if there was any revelation at the end there, but clearly not. Anyway, so just if you're out there perhaps and you're getting ready to submit an assignment, do it properly and don't maybe send a drunken note to your professor, because that perhaps won't be a good idea. Here's another one, but this one we're heading to mirror.co.uk. An article here in regards to flight attendants revealing the things that they never tell passengers about flying. Now, there seems to be quite a long string of articles online in regards to flying. It seems to be a common trend. People always want to know about flying. And given that I'm going to be on a plane very shortly and taking this show on the road, maybe this is going to give me something to think about. Not too sure, though, if I'm too keen about this, because one of the flight attendants, Ishrat Parveen, this was all done, I should say, in a Q&A on a website, Quora, where basically the question was asked, what do flight attendants know about flying that they don't tell passengers? And these are some of the answers. Ishrat Parveen, a flight attendant, clearly that's why we're reading these, said that the most unhygienic thing on the aircraft is your seatbelt and the tray tables. So if you're ever on a plane and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to go to the toilet, they're unhygienic and all this sort of stuff, and you probably don't want to touch your seatbelt and your tray tables because, yes, that's kind of interesting. And also, Ishrat admitted that the plane food is frozen and kept up for 72 hours. Wow, this is really putting me off flying in a couple of days. But perhaps a lot of people, maybe if you're listening to us on an airplane, then this is probably going to come in handy. Another flight attendant, Anya Mary, admitted that another thing is that landing in the rain can be bumpier because a plane needs to touch the runway hard to avoid aquaplaning. So the next time you have a rough landing, keep in mind that although pilots are usually judged by their landing skills, hard landing is necessary and correct, safe way to land the machine. Well, there you go. That one's not too bad. So if you're about to land in the rain, expect a bumpy light landing. Anya also admitted that don't be afraid of lightning, because some people are obviously afraid of lightning when you're in the sky, but planes apparently get struck by lightning all the time. The engineers take care of that with the construction, so it withstands the stress. So maybe it's probably a good thing you get struck by lightning. Anya, she's very knowledgeable, this Anya, the flight attendant, saying that turbulence, not dangerous. Basically, the plane, again, designed to withstand the stress. And basically, for the pilots, it's just an annoying obstacle they try to avoid to make sure that the passengers have a stress-free flight. And we're back to Ishrat, so only 2 flight attendants here were being honest, the rest obviously were busy. Had some helpful tips about health on plane. She said, avoid flying if you have severe colds. It can damage your eardrums and you may lose your hearing. Well, there you go. Happened to me once. Well, if you perhaps maybe you got a cold right now, you're not hearing us. That's probably a good thing. So yes, saying that she had it once, couldn't hear properly for a week. There you go. And also said that if you have air sickness, taking medicine in flight will never help you. So that's more not really weird news. It's more a case of slightly sort of information. Good information there. One more will go for you here. Again on mirror.co.uk. A blind hoarder has discovered the dead body of son missing for 20 years upstairs amongst their junk. Now, this hoarder had obviously wondered what had become of her son 20 years ago. And then, has discovered that the body has been up there the whole time. There was so much junk and bad smells, she apparently had no idea. Now, this was in New York, and authorities say they believe the woman thought he had simply left home without saying anything. Now, this is in Avenue N near East 22nd Street. The mother is quite elderly now, been living with skeletal remains for as long as 20 years, according to the New York Post. She is legally blind and may not even know he was there, according to the NYPD, who spoke to the paper. This was discovered on the 15th of September when a relative arrived at her home in Midwood, and they were basically going through this room full of items, and her sister-in-law, Josette, found a completely intact skeleton dressed in jeans, socks, and a shirt, lying on its back, a thin mattress on the floor. So that is wow. So perhaps again, if you've misplaced a child, haven't seen them for a while, maybe you need to go check upstairs if you haven't in a while. That's kind of freaky, actually, but also sad at the same time. So wow, there you go. Thank you to the mirror.co.uk, and there's our first ever edition of that. I think we're going to close it out with a bit of music right now. I'm hearing that. That sounds a good way to close that segment. I'm sure this will improve as we move along, perhaps in the future. Now, while we may have been off the airwaves full-time since January in 2015, we didn't completely go away 100%. We did maintain our presence in regards to ice hockey commentary in Hobart. Now, the weekend that has just passed saw the 2016 Tasmanian Ice Hockey League Grand Final, the Van Diemen's League. It was our 6th Grand Final that we covered. It was between the Cougars and the Falcons. Now, the Falcons were going for their 4th consecutive premiership. The Cougars looking for their first win since 2012. You can download the full match commentary with myself and Dakota via icehockeytasmania.com, but we're going to play for you the closing moments of that game to see who wins the premiership for 2016. Let's check out the final moments of that match.
Fox can add his 4th to the tally. But you can't take away from the Cougars' performance tonight, though, Dakota. The Falcons, while they haven't exactly been the team that we expected them to be, they do look tired. Perhaps those extra games, I mean, a double overtime game the other night definitely would have taken it out of them, but still can't take away from their achievements, Dakota, the last few years. 3 in a row, making 4 grand finals in a row. Definitely a team that will bounce back next season in the new competition. But the Cougars are now 38 seconds away from tasting premiership, winning a grand final for the first time since 2012. The Falcons want to get a late one here, but they're not going to. The crowd's still cheering on the Falcons. They've been brave in this last period, the Falcons. But again, it's not to be. 24 seconds away now, the Cougars, from winning this one. Face off right in front of the Cougars bench. The smiles are starting to appear on their faces. The Cougars, can they get a last one here to really put the icing on the cake? Pike might get one here for the Falcons. He gets pushed out of it well by Katinas. Well wide there, and surely Pike with the wrap around. Oh, somehow Barella! How did Barella save that one? Now, I don't think it's crossed the line. Pike had a wide open net. There he is. He's just shaking his head going, how the hell did I miss that one? Barella, I think he wrapped it around and Barella somehow got it and then pushed out of it. Sums up the Falcons' evening. 7 seconds away from the Cougars winning this premiership. Here's an opportunity for Rogers to get a late goal. He has a chance out of it. It's not going to matter because the Cougars are going to be premiers. There it is! The Cougars win the grand final. The crowd love it. The Cougars are hugging. They're on the bench. The helmets are off. Katinas and Fall give each other the man hug. A sterling effort tonight. Stop the pressure of the late fight back from the Falcons and caps off an incredible year by the Cougars. They are the 2016 premiers of the Van Diemen's League. Dakota Leary, the Falcons dynasty, it's over.
Yeah, it is. I don't know, I'm speechless.
You're speechless?
I want to cry.
You want to cry?
I do.
We'll have a cry, go on. Let's listen to the Cougars now. That is a premiership chant if I've ever heard one in my life.
Couldn't agree with myself more there. 15-9, the Cougars ended up winning that one in a great game. It was sort of one-sided for most of it. The third period, the Falcons came alive, got to within a couple of goals after trailing for most of the match by upwards of 8 goals. But Cougars held their nerve, only lost one game all season, deserved champions. Congratulations to them. And not 100%, as we sort of mentioned on the night, whether or not we'll be back commentating the season again in 2017. Might not even be in the state to be able to do that. We'll see how we go. But anybody in the beautiful city of Hobart, state of Tasmania really, icehockeytasmania.com, you can find out where to play this sport. And really, if you're looking for a great time, know how to skate, and want to play with a good bunch of guys and girls, then definitely give it a crack, because it is definitely a fun sport to observe, and especially one that is not as big in Australia as it is in North America, but definitely recommend it. Easily go out and do it and play ice hockey. It's great. Brand new segment we're going to be trialling here on the Brinks version of the podcast is something where we go back in time and hear some classic highlights. Now, I know we've technically already done that on this episode, but this is more so a regular where it'll only happen once per episode. This was just sort of a special episode in remembering the late, great Tim Franklin. And there really is no other way of calling this segment except what we're about to do by going into this lovely brand spanking new introduction.
This is like a This is like a dream.
Flashback. Yes, we are going back in time to relive a classic moment from Hobart's fourth favourite radio show, at least up until 2015. Now, everybody who loved us and listened to us, both of you, would remember a wide variety of things from over the years. And one such thing, which we thought was very appropriate, given the week that we are releasing this, is we had a long-running bet between co-hosts. So, obviously, throughout the 11 or so years on air, myself and a bunch of other people shared the chairs of the Brink. We had a variety of different hosts over the years. And, of course, a variety of different hosts means a variety of different opinions when it came to sporting teams teams, particularly AFL teams, we would have different teams that we would root for. And we had a long-running bet that whenever our teams would play each other in a game during the season, whose ever team lost, the person whose team lost then had to sing the other host's theme song. So essentially, as a Carlton supporter, my team lost a lot. So therefore, when my team lost, I had to sing the opposing team's song. Hope you're trying to follow along here. So back in 2011, we had a co-host called Kelly, and Kelly was a mad, one-eyed Western Bulldog supporter. You see where I'm going with this. Of course, this week's AFL Grand Final is between the Western Bulldogs and Sydney Swans. Now, the Western Bulldogs have not made a Grand Final since 1961 and only have the one premiership which they've won in the 1950s. So it's a big thing right now in Australia. Everybody's getting behind the doggies because there's big sentimental favouritism for them unless you're a Sydney Swan supporter. Back in 2011, my Carlton played Kelly's Bulldogs. Obviously, Carlton lost, therefore I had to sing the Western Bulldogs song. Thought it was appropriate that for our very first edition of Flashback here in the Brink podcast, we go back to 2011 and hear the segment where I had to sing the song that hopefully will be playing after the siren after the Grand Final this Saturday afternoon. Let's go back to 2011.
I think we should get the song
Out of the way?
I think we should pump it up. Pump up AFL time.
Yes.
You've got two keen Bulldog supporters in the studio.
Yes, we do.
You've jumped on the bandwagon, I suppose, because you've won 4 in a row, and you think, oh, it's our year.
We've won 4 in a row, and we bet your Carlton to lose. So now...
The funny thing is, though, the fact that you've won 4 in a row, we've only lost 4 games for the year. So, you know.
Well, we've won more than 4.
What, like 5?
No, like 7 or something. But
All right.
that's not the point. You have to sing
Yes.
the Bulldog song.
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, we always have running bets on this show between the hosts, whoever's team, when they play each other, should the other team person, whatever, lose and the other
And
one...
lucky for you, we only play each other once this year.
Well, come
Because
finals.
then you'd have to sing it twice.
Possibly we might meet each other in the finals the way we're going. But look, I'm going to have to sing this damn Bulldog song.
Yep.
And I'm not singing it with gusto, all right? This is. I'll get as passionate as I get. I've got the lyrics in front of me, because yeah. Are we ready
Right.
for this?
Go.
Do we have to get this over and done with now?
Yep.
All right. Sounds so childish. Sons of the West, red, white, and blue. We come at snarling, Bulldogs through and through. Bulldogs bite and roar. We give our very best, or at least 4 weeks of the year. But you can't beat the boys of the Bulldogs breed. We're the team of the mighty West who can only win 1 premiership in 100 years. Oh, did that slip out at the end? All right, that's enough. Is that over and done with?
It is.
Are we happy?
I'm very happy.
Are the Bulldogs supporters in the studio happy?
My mum
yes,
likes
I'm happy.
it.
Does she?
My mum
Does she go for the Bulldogs as well,
No.
does she? Who did she go for?
She goes, thank you, Ella.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? Oh, who did your dad go for?
Hawthorn.
Oh, God. I'm worried for your family.
And my
Look.
sister goes for Richmond, so...
Oh, Jesus Christ. You've got a whole family of everyone. You were saying before about guys incarcerated. Everyone goes for a different team as well. I liked it when we had the Wolf Brothers on because all of them went for Carlton. So.
Very intelligent guys, the Wolf Brothers. Yes, that was 2011. Me singing the Western Bulldogs song back when Kelly was a co-host there. So yes, each episode, a classic flashback we will bring you each time. So get excited for that because I know for one, I'm very excited to bring you some great memories from the show across our long history. That just about brings us to the close of the very first episode of the rebooted the Brink podcast. How fun and exciting it is to be back. Potentially the last episode that I will be doing here in Hobart. Not sure if any more content will be recorded for the next episode before I leave, but more than likely it won't be. So kind of a bit sad and a bit interesting moving forward, I guess, but we'll see how we go along the road. Now, before I wrap it all up with 101 different plugs, because that's what we can do on podcasts, because that's what we can get away with. As we just heard previously, AFL Grand Final happening this Saturday. I am going. I have never ever been to an AFL Grand Final in my entire entire life. And yes, I realise that Carlton aren't playing. Yes, I realise Carlton probably aren't going to play in an AFL Grand Final until at least I'm 50, but I'm going to experience it. I got tickets. I'm so excited for it. And an average... And an annual thing that we would always do on the episode before the AFL Grand Final, we'd always have sort of our Grand Final edition. We'd get people pumped up and get excited, ready to go for the big game, is we'd always play both the club songs to really get you in the mood. Now, I guess we technically did that with the Doggies before, but I thought maybe we'd do it a little bit proper. So we'll start off with the song that have been heard in the Grand Final, 3 of the last 5 of them, the Sydney Swans. They're back in it again. Let's get all those Sydney supporters out there pumped up a little bit by playing a little bit of this.
Cheer, cheer the red and the white, honour the name by day and by night, lift that noble banner high, shake down the thunder from the sky. What though the odds be great or small, Swans will go in and win overall, while her loyal sons are marching onward to victory.
I think a lot of us are kind of sick of hearing that. Yes, we get it. I mean, it's not Hawthorn. We realise that. So there you go. Sydney Swan supporters getting excited, but as we fade that one out, we don't want to hear that. We want to hear this one because, as I mentioned before, the first time since 1961 that this team has ever made the AFL Grand Final. People talk about long-suffering fans. The Western Bulldogs have the longest-suffering fans in all of the AFL. They have now broken the longest drought between Grand Final appearances, and that now that falls on Richmond supporters, but we won't touch on that one. But let's hear this song because unless you're a Sydney supporter, as I mentioned, everybody is going for the Bullies, the Doggies, more so, not the Bullies, they're not Bullies, the Doggies on Saturday, and let's hear a bit of this now. Excited, doesn't it, for the big game this Saturday, and I'm hoping that I can bring a bit of content from the Grand Final. I'll try and record a bit of a package and talk up being at the Grand Final, at least some experiences in the lead up to it, so that will be no doubt on episode 2. So enjoy the AFL Grand Final wherever you are in Australia, or if you're overseas and perhaps have no idea what I'm talking about, again, look it up. It's worth a look, and definitely it is the biggest sporting event in Australia, so definitely check it out if you can. Now, yes, again, episode 1 is done and dusted. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have scrapped the website, but we're still on Facebook. If you do want to get in contact with us and sort of send out a g'day, a cheerio, send us a message, comment, anything along those lines, or just stay up to date with what's happening, you can head to facebook.com/Brink Radio Show, and we would love for you, obviously, to like our page as well. We will be keeping you up to date with everything on that page, posting all our links, and there'll be a variety of photos and everything along those lines too. But yes, so that is www.facebook.com/The Brink Radio Show. Make sure you put the in there, just don't forget it like I did as well. You can subscribe to us. The best way to get these episodes direct into your speakers is if you head to whooshka.com. That is WHOOSHKAA.com. We have the link on our Facebook page. Easiest way to get there. You can find our RSS feed there, which you can subscribe to, or search for us on iTunes. We are on iTunes. That is the easiest way, obviously, for your podcasting needs. Or if you do not use iTunes, there are a variety of other services in which you can subscribe to us on as well. Now, we also will have a YouTube channel up and running. Find that link on our Facebook page. We'll be submitting that there once we get that up and running as well. And for those who give two shits about me, perhaps, hi Mum, again, I will be maintaining a personal sort of travel blog along the way, which will kind of include a bit more info, perhaps, that you might not hear on the show, or see on the videos that we do on YouTube as well. So for that one, you can head to Benjam International, all lowercase, all one word, .wordpress.com. That is Benjam International, BenjamInternational.com. got there, .wordpress.com, and see a little bit there, see a bit more behind the scenes, and perhaps if you're interested as well. So big thanks to everybody who's listened to us. Big thanks to our podcast server again, Wooshka, and our chosen sponsor search for today apparently was McDonald's or Macca's. Go out and buy their burgers, they're great. They've got the Monopoly promotion on in Australia at the moment. You can win stuff. I won a Big Mac, which is great, so you could win a Big Mac too. But thank you again. I'm going to say thank you 101 times because it's great to be back. So happy to be back, and so happy that I can finally say this sentence for the first time in over 18 months. Until next time, keep sucking those oranges, Hobart, and good night.